Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Magically Cruising, the cruise podcast where we share our personal cruise tips and reviews to help you make the most out of your next sailing. My name's Kieran. I'm an independent travel agent specializing in all things cruise, Disney, and North America, and I'm joined by my fellow co-host.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I write at Cruising for All, Cruising with Kids, and Mini Travellers.
Brilliant. And today, Sarah, we're going to talk about a topic that you are obviously an expert in. You've built your website around kind of cruising with little ones, and it's something that I'll hold my hand up to. I specialize in couples travel primarily. So we're going to speak to you as the resident expert of cruising with babies. And I guess a good place to start is just kind of, I guess, from what age did you first start traveling with your kids? I guess, what's the youngest you've taken your kids on a cruise ship?
Joe was 18 months old. So that was our very first cruise. And I think we've discussed this before. We were really brave. We just went straight in and did a transatlantic.
Yeah.
But it was Princess, amazing offer. And we thought, why not? And it was, obviously, we've never looked back because he's 18 soon and we've cruised almost every year ever since. So
from 18 to 18, then he's been cruising.
Yeah. Yep. And so next year he'll be 18 and a bit when we cruise. And it'll be his anniversary.
And I guess because I don't have kids, and I'll be honest, like it's something that I don't even apprehend the whole concept of just how difficult it is to travel with toddlers and infants. I know there are a lot of rules around cruise lines of generally they don't allow kind of newborns on board. You kind of have to go from, it's a generalization, but 6 months and up is the date that stick in my mind. I know transatlantics are a little bit higher. It's 12 months and up. So you do need to check with the different cruise lines. They've all got different minimum ages they will accept. I know MSC have the lowest age acceptors. They'll accept relatively newborns. So definitely just about that side of the topic, it's a bit difficult to give a fast and hard babies from this age up because every cruise line is slightly different. Itineraries are different. But on average, 6 months up is kind of the minimum that I would recommend, that I've come across at least anyway. But obviously, there's special considerations that you have to think about when you do take a baby on board a cruise ship. What would you say would be the first thing that, parents would have to think about if they're going to choose a cruise ship to sail as their holiday?
We've got a cruise group, and the biggest topic in the cruise boat group is travelling with babies. And you listen to some parents and they say, we've had the best experience. It's been as easy having baby at home as on the ship. Other people have said it's been an absolute nightmare. But I think that's the baby. I think it depends on how your baby is, how they travel, what sort of routine you've got in place. So we were very much, when our kids grew up, fitting with our routine. And if you've got that attitude that they've not got to be in bed by 6, they've got to have dark, they've got to have silence, then it might not work. But if you've got kids that fit in with you, you can take them to the restaurant. We never took them to nightclubs, but, we got to stay out late. We got to, when I say late, like 9:30, because they've been up since 5. They've been up. So, but for us, we found it easy, because it's flat, so you can walk around deck. You can get off the ship and get back on. You can go into air conditioning units. But if you're going on a hot cruise, I would say my number one consideration would be to choose a ship with a splash pool. Do you understand the maritime laws? Have you got information on that, or do you want me to tell you a bit about it?
Not aware of the laws about it so much, but I know it's a big consideration of kind of, there is a big difference with cruise ships of having a pool that's available for kids and having a splash pad for toddlers. And I know obviously a lot of that is the age-old hygiene thing and about how babies have to be kind of diaper trained. So that kind of there's a big differential between that. And obviously, if a cruise ship doesn't have a splash area, then kids can't go in the pool, regardless of whether it has a shallow entry or a lip around the edge. It has to be a dedicated area for toddlers or diaper trained kids to go into.
And they're really strict on it. I mean, their very first cruise we went on, as I say, Joe was 18 months, and they said no kids in the pool. And there was only, I think there was 3 children on the ship. There was Joe, a little boy called Josh, who was still send cards to his parents, and Jack. And I think that might have been it, on one other girl. It was, I think it was just the ship. It was transatlantic. No one was that brave. People weren't doing cruising to the level they're doing it now. And we went down to reception and said, this isn't negotiable, and they are going in, and then let them in. But I think the blessing of that was that the people on the ship didn't have an issue. The people that were using the pool, they knew we were conscientious. That wouldn't happen now.
No.
But, there are people that sneak them in, but I've seen them get turfed out. And you see people in the group, don't you, come in and say, I've been on a cruise and our kids can't go in the pool and it ruined it. You have to research the ships first. So the ships that have got, I've got a list in front of me and I'll link this article in, but the ships, Royal Caribbean ships, a lot of definitely the Oasis class ships. We've got some of the ones that have had enhancements like Freedom of the Seas, Anthem. I think the one we've just been on. What one did I just go on?
Odyssey.
That as well. Then
Yeah.
you got your Disney cruise ships all have splash pads.
Yep.
The MSC, the bigger ships. I think Caribbean Princess. And then you've got the P&O ships. Now, some people say they do allow them. Some people say they don't. When I was on, it said they weren't allowed in, but they allowed them in. It's such a shady area. And then you've got, what else have I got there? There's more MSC ships. So you've got to research your ships and make sure that you double check that they're allowed in the pool, because to me, that's a big factor. If it's hot, you want to cool the baby down. You don't want them getting too hot. They can't swim in the pool. It's not a swimming pool. It's a paddling pool. They can splash in it. But who wants a baby swimming?
Do you get what I mean? Like, no. And they are designed, and they have like little kids play areas. They've got like little fountains and, interactive things like that. That's usually the type of thing you're looking at here, isn't it? And I think that's a good thing to look for if you're trying to work out whether it does. Just have a look on the cruise website, or ideally speak to a travel agent and just double check if they've got a splash area, and it has to be a separate splash area. It can't be a shallow edge of a pool. It has to be a dedicated splash. Yeah, it has to be a splash pad. Usually you'll find them splash pads, and you can see pictures. I think it's like some of the NCL ships, you can see that it has a completely separate lip around it to contain the water. And that's obviously how they do the hygiene of it. If there is an accident, they can easily clean that area down, and it doesn't contaminate the larger pool area, because that's more difficult for them to change the water on.
Yeah, and they do still have to wear the swimming nappies, swimming diapers, whatever we call them.
Yes.
If they're toddlers and they're potty trained, they can use the children's pool. And what I love about all these big ships, in fact, I don't think I've been on the ship recently that I haven't seen them, is they have the life jackets on the side.
Yes.
So they're all hung up in all different sizes. And that wasn't a thing they used to do. So, I mean, because I remember once Joe's armbands popping, and could we get any? And every time we got off the ship in port, no armbands. So it was a bit old, probably about 3 or 4 then. But so the fact that they've got all that there is brilliant. And I think for safety, which is another question actually, safety.
Well, I was going to say, like, I remember a big topic about Disney when they first launched. It was quite like revolutionary at the time, because they were the first cruise line that I'm aware of to have lifeguards around the kids' pools. Because from my understanding, up until like the late 90s, it was quite uncommon for there to be dedicated lifeguards for children's pools. And I know Disney, they launched with that's one of our USPs, of we have lifeguards around the kids' pools. And then I believe Royal Caribbean quickly followed then as well, for around their family pools. They started having lifeguards as well. But that's a big consideration as well, that a lot of cruise lines like Princess, for example, don't have lifeguards on board the ship, which again is another reason why younger kids, toddlers especially, can't go in the pools, is because they don't have lifeguards on deck.
Never noticed that. I've never noticed that. I've seen them on Royal, but I've never noticed they weren't on Princess.
And that's usually a good telltale sign as well. It's just if there's a lifeguard service or not as well. But Disney, I just remember the press release when they first launched. And again, I don't have kids, so it's not cemented, and I don't know the black and white of it. But I know it was a big, big deal when Disney launched, because they said they will have lifeguards on deck around their pool areas. And it was such a big deal for the cruise industry, because I think it was very uncommon at that time. But they made it, obviously they had 2 ships, but they made it fleet-wide for the 2 ships they have at the time.
Right, I see.
It's just how much the industry's changed, though, because that's 20 years ago now, Disney launched. So in 20 years now, it's become a lot more commonplace, and a lot more cruise lines have it now. But that goes to show how much kind of family cruising, multi-generational cruising has evolved so much in the last 20 years. Like Royal Caribbean now, it's normal for them to have family pools now. Whereas at the time, it was revolutionary to have, little tykes pools, at least on cruise ships.
The first ship I ever went on Royal was Adventure of the Seas, and who had just launched Freedom, or one of them had launched, and it had the H2O zone, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is amazing!" Because, like you say, it wasn't a thing, and I think they've grown with families. They've definitely grown with my family, and there's always been something for them to do, which is incredible, as all cruise lines. But yeah, a big question we always get asked is it safe to take a baby on a cruise? And actually, did you see that post the other day? A lady was saying, I'm going on a cruise soon, and I actually feel sick. I'm so worried about the safety aspect.
Really?
And I honestly think, obviously you can't let them walk off, you can't let them climb, but within your normal restraints, I think it's a really safe place to be.
I know everyone's on holiday, and you get this quite a lot with people, and I see it quite a lot in the Disney community as well. They assume because it is a safe haven and it is designed for families that's their childcare taken care of. And without judging, I'm not judging anyone type of thing, but no, not at all. You do still have to do your due diligence. You have to keep an eye on your children. You have to find ways to entertain them. The ship and the crew aren't there to babysit Some cruise lines do have babysitting services, but that's an extra charge type of thing. But you do still have to kind of be mindful of what your kids are doing, and make sure that you are looking after them as well, because there are people older who are going to be on board drinking and having a good time as well. So they're not going to be as mindful around your kids as you're going to be. So definitely need to be kind of setting boundaries and all that type of stuff as well.
But that's actually another really valid point, because you say they're not there to babysit, but some do, don't they? And
Yes. Yep.
I mean, we've got a whole post on this, but I think we do need to probably update it. But NCL have cruise lines. And I know post-COVID things have changed a little bit, but Royal Caribbean had the Royal Tots and nurseries.
Yes.
And they're from 6 months to 36 months. So do they still do that?
Yeah. Royal
Yeah.
do. I know Royal and Disney are the two that I know do it. I haven't checked every cruise line, but they're the only two I've come up with personally where customers have asked. So Royal definitely have babysitting service, which is paid for by the hour. And I just don't remember the exact rules, but there's a minimum number of hours and a maximum number of hours you can have. Disney equally as well. They also have babysitting service as well, which, again, I can't remember exactly if it's chargeable or not. I know they have the Small World Nursery, which I believe is for, I should check this. Let's find that out, actually, so I know.
Well, so Disney is Small World Nursery, 6 months to 3 years, from 1 to 3 years on transatlantic. And so, yeah, you can book her in the nursery.
I'm pretty sure Disney offer it in Small World Nursery, so you can drop them off, basically, as a drop-off nursery service. I'm sure I remember on Royal that they offer babysitting in cabin.
They don't do that anymore.
Maybe it's drop-off, isn't it? Maybe it is drop-off only now as well.
They used to, but I don't think they do it anymore. I'm sure Donna tried to book it a few years ago. Sorry, Donna was a regular user of the babysitting service.
I think it's great to say to parents, because they are desperately worried. I've spoken to so many parents when they're looking and thinking about going away, that they're like, we still want to have time to ourselves as well. So can we do that? And you got two camps on you. Got the parents who the idea of leaving their child with another person terrifies them. But you've got other parents who are just like, absolutely, sign me up every night. I'll take my 4 hours a night type of thing. It is there to be used as a great service to have. It is a great charge. And as we've talked about in the kids one, where we were talking about slightly older kids, all these people are trained, they're fully qualified, they have background checks again. So these people are, experts in childcare and looking after kids, and they're fully verified by the cruise lines as well.
And I think that's the thing. It's not about not seeing your kids. And we've had this discussion before. I used to beg my kids to spend time with me in the end, because they want to be in the club and they're free of charge and they're having a good time and they're meeting pals. But it just gives you that 2 hours to have a dinner that they're not going to want to sit and they don't want to have a 4-course dinner. Also, you can go to the casino for an hour, which is amazing. And you know that they're qualified staff, and you can just tell if your kids are having a good time. So we thought 1 year they didn't want to go, and we said, just try it for an hour, and they didn't want to. It was like we marched and they said, just an hour, if you don't like it, you're never going again. We never got them out. So
really?
I think you should, because they just, once they start meeting friends and playing Gagaball and then they're begging you, please let us stay in for the pay hours. And then you're like, God's sake, no, it's costing me for them to be in there. But they loved it. But anyway, they weren't babies. But yeah. So as for supplies, Royal Caribbean definitely, and Disney do essentials in the store. But it's a really good idea to take like a good supply of stuff like your nappies, definitely Calpol, definitely your wipes. But I think Royal do a baby to go service where you can pre-order nappies, wipes, cream to your cabin. But it's also really handy to know where the nearest chemist is when you're going to port, so that if you do need, I don't know, mine always ended up getting like eczema on their faces and stuff like that when they were on a ship, when they were younger. But I think that was the change in environment. I've got wires and got cream, but nappy cream or stuff like that just to put on their face to help them. But just making sure you've got everything you need. But as I say, if you go on the family ships, they do tend to have it. And also a lot of ships do baby food. So is it MSC have a relationship with HIP, I think, is it? Or Disney? There's quite a few of them that actually now, and again, you've got to check the ships, but they do have baby food, or some of them will mash up food for you.
I can't remember which brand does what, but I know, as you say about this delivery service, I know 100% Disney do as well. So if you don't want to travel with diapers or nappies, and you don't want to travel with baby food and all that type of stuff, you can 100% order it all before you get on board. You used to be able to anyway. I haven't checked recently, but you used to be able to order it all and have stock in there. I think it's probably better to use it more as an emergency service, or if you run out or you don't have enough. But there is services on board a lot of the family lines as well, where they can help you get stuff as well. But then as well, just make sure you're aware of, as you say, all the ports you go into as well. what facilities are available. If you do need to stock up on anything or there's an emergency, you can get stuff locally as well.
And all ports have a chemist. We have discovered that. All ports do have a chemist.
I
remember once...
So think about thousands of drunk tourists arriving in port.
Like, Chris hates Gibraltar with a passion. Like, he won't even get off ship there now.
Really?
It is because we once needed a chemist in Gibraltar, and as he stood outside, a seagull pooed on his head. Like, it must have had a really bad stomach, this seagull, because you've never seen anything like it. So, and he's judged the whole of Gibraltar based on that one event. It's like,
that one experience.
It's like, never going back again. Could have been a monkey. I don't know, from high up. I don't know. But like, we cried all the way back to the ship, which probably didn't help. But right, so ships with baby food and formula. So Disney Cruise Line do fresh pureed vegetables, and they can do room service, and they sell formula in the shop. Princess Cruises do complimentary jars of stage 1 and 2 baby food. And you can usually get them in the Horizon Colt and the World Fresh Marketplace. Organic baby food can be prepared for you on Royal Caribbean. P&O Cruises provide hip food in jars. You can also get cow's milk in the buffet restaurants, can't you? So you can get your little buffet, which are really handy to just go and get a carton and put it in your fridge, and then you've got milk if they're on cow's milk. Obviously, if they're on formula, you can take sterilisation bags to have in your bathroom, sterilise your stuff. And then another thing with food is I would always take a snack box, and then you can go to the buffet and put bits in, so that you've got stuff throughout the day. And even with Jack and Joe who are adults, I still go and get melon and put it in the fridge to this day.
We're really bad for like having little snacks everywhere and like drinks everywhere, and we just stock up in the room, and I keep forgetting that it's there, because I'm like, I'll have that one day, and then you find 3 days later you've still got like the cuts up fruit and everything in your cabin.
There's always fruit in the fridge, because otherwise they just want to eat the cookies and the rubbish and the burgers. So in the cabin, it's like, cakes don't come in. If you want, there's some melon in the fridge if you want some. They eat it, because who doesn't like melon? But it's good to get a little box and have all your snacks in there, and then when you're around the ship, you're not, because kids are always hungry, or sometimes it might just be giving them a few, I don't know, I'm not going to say grapes because it can be dangerous, can't they, but a few bits of cheese or whatever, or cut up an apple or a banana. But I think as long as they're fed and happy, and you've got some crisps to put on a tray or whatever, then
that's the thing as well, because a lot of the kids areas, I know on MSC, and I only know this because Phil went looking for gluten-free snacks, and the gluten-free snacks could only be found in the kids complex. But they did have as well like packets of like pom bears and things like that as well that you could get as well, so you can buy snacks like that again to keep. They were chargeable because they were part of the kids like sportsplex, but there was the option to get things like that as well on board MSC.
I think a cruise is a really good way to have kids and babies to eat healthy, because I mean, where else do you go on holiday where there's food all the time, amazing food all the time, and you can just go and fill up little pots of goodies and nice stuff at home. When they want melon, it's like, you've got to cut up a whole melon. It's like, and you do as a mum, don't you? But it's not always there on tap. It's an easy way to eat healthy and find stuff they like. Because if you can't find something you like on a cruise ship buffet, then you're struggling in life, I think.
Usually you could find a lot of things from different continents on the same plate.
Yeah. Even like filling up a little pot with pasta, because my kids used to do like cold pasta when they were little, so just having some pasta, and so there's a lot. I found it easy with a baby to.
Oh no, definitely. I think I've seen, like, again, we don't have kids, but I'm such a people watcher. And I've watched so many, like you say, like just plain pasta as well. When you got kids, they just want plain pasta and they want tomato sauce, really basic things. I've seen loads of parents get plates like that, but also as well, speak with the food team as well on board. So in the main dining room as well, just let them know if you've got any kind of requirements. So if, like, it came up actually, I was on a Celebrity ship visit, and Celebrity is a cruise line you probably wouldn't necessarily think of straight away for families. But somebody asked about, like, my kid's got particular dietary requirements. He only eats plain chicken. Can I go to the main dining room and get a plate of literally plain chicken and pasta? And they're like, absolutely, yeah. If you've got it, give us a heads up and let us know that that's what, that's all your child will eat. And we'll definitely make sure that there is a plate ready when you have your main meal. We'll get a plate of, plain chicken, pasta, whatever it is that, will make your child happy. A lot of the premium lines especially will go above and beyond to kind of just work with you. Disney are exactly the same as well. If your child has, they only eat chicken nuggets and that's all they'll eat, then, they will totally make sure every night as well that they've got that ready for you. You do need to give them a heads up. You can't just turn up and go, I want this. but just give them a heads up. Ring down when you get on board the ship, ring down to kind of guest services and let them know that that's the requirement and they will pass the messages on. But it is possible to kind of get that. And again, same with a buffet. If you can't find it out, go find the head waiter or the maitre d' type of thing, and they will then work with you as well to kind of either point out where it may be in case you've missed it, or let you know which member of the staff can prepare meals and special order items for you as well. It may take longer, obviously, but again, they will be as accommodating as possible within the remit of what can they actually cook.
No, but we used to do stuff like, so say there was a pasta dish with sauce, and then Jack would have plain pasta with ham. Well, that's easy for him. And then they'd do that. So there was we'd say, right, can we have the meat dish without the gravy and the meat? So they'd have all the vegetables and they'd have the potatoes. As long as it's on the menu that night, they can accommodate. So if it's a rice dish, they'd have rice and ham or rice and chicken or whatever, but they can accommodate. What you can't do is go and say, well, that's not on the menu, I want that.
Yeah.
But they are brilliant. I honestly couldn't fault them for food. I think for food, you cannot, you just wouldn't struggle with a baby.
No.
So washing is a big one. So, because I remember when they were little, I used to pack so much stuff and take outfits for every day, and you can do that. Obviously, you've got P&O and Princess, have got laundries, and Cunard. And when we were on all of those, the laundries are in constant use. So, people go and bunging a load of washing in. And what I would advise is, and this is what a cabin steward told us, take a little thing in your suitcase of washing tablets that that are good for, especially with babies because their skin's sensitive.
Absolutely, yeah, because you can't guarantee they'll have non-bio, because I don't think they very often stock non-bio on laundrettes on cruise ships. What I will say is a lot of the newer ships are being built without laundries on them. That's the one thing to be mindful of. So if you are going to be sailing on one of the newer cruise ships that's just launched in the last, say, 4 or 5 years, double check that they've got laundries, because they are phasing them out because of health and safety issues with irons and smoke alarms and things like that. So a lot of the newer ships, I would say probably the family lines will maybe still have them, but I know it's becoming a bit of a trend for them to not be built into a lot of the more modern cruise ships. So just double check. Older ships, without a doubt, the majority of them have laundrettes still, but I've noticed on a lot of the newer ships, they're no longer building laundrettes into the cruise ships because of the whole steam and irons and things like that. You can then still get things cleaned. You've just got to pay, unfortunately, to use the laundrette. So just double check if it's a new ship, if they do have one.
I think it's the Royal Carnival brands, you're generally okay. I think it's like Royal don't have them. I don't know if they have them in the older ships, but we always take, like the squirty washing stuff, so you can wash if you had to. We don't now, but when they were little, so that you can wash stuff in your sink and hang it up in your shower. So that was a really good option. And then laundry as well. I mean, as you know, I always get Chris's shirts ironed on the ship because who wants to iron them at home? So he has one shirt. They choose your shirt for the first night. He irons that. I hate iron shirts. And then I send the rest off because I don't want to iron them. But you can send, they do offers a lot of time on ships, don't they, where they do a bag for so much. And if you look out, there's always an offer where you can get a bag washed. So that's definitely a good thing.
We use it quite a lot, to be honest, particularly on like a longer sailing, or if we've done like a multi-center holiday. So we've done like a land break and a cruise break. Generally day one, we'll be like, quick, stick everything in the bag, get it back to laundry and get it back then ready for the rest of the cruise. I guess if you are thinking then of kind of taking a baby on board with you, what is it you need to think about, or you need to kind of maybe tell the cruise line before you get on board if you are deciding to bring a baby on with you?
You definitely need to ask if they've got like a pack and play, or what do you call them? Sleeping
the crib.
Thing. Crib, that's it. I have had children, honest.
A cardboard box
crib
with some blankets at the least, like in the corner.
So obviously, there are some family ships. NCL's cabins are brilliant for the 5-berth ones. They've got curtains that separate them off. But you've got to think about these things, because you've got to think about the layout of your room. Because if you've got a baby and you want to go back to bed, not you want to go to bed, but you're thinking, right, at 9 o'clock the baby wants to go to bed and we're going to sit on the balcony. You want your room configuration to be so that your bed's near the patio door and the baby's mid-cabin, so that you can lock your door, put baby in bed, put a curtain up, and you can put them either side, and then because otherwise you've got to walk through them to get to the patio. So as long as you lock your door, you're fine, and then you're out on it. So you could do that and go and have a glass of wine on your balcony, and as long as you've got them in your cabin. And a really good idea, and something that's shared in our group a lot, what a lot of mums do is they buy a really inexpensive lightweight shower curtain, and they buy magnets, and they put the magnets around the pack and play, not so the baby can touch it and pull it in. Obviously it's got to be a distance, so that they're curtained off, so they've got that darkness. So that's quite a good idea.
The magnetic hooks are really good for that as well. It's like, say, if you've got a
Cool.
shower curtain with like the loops on it, you can buy the magnetic hooks on like Amazon and places like that that stick to the ceiling or the walls of your cruise cabin type of thing, because they're all magnetic, and you can, as you say, use that to cordon off things or even hanging things as well, like, extra, I don't know, whatever, towels or things like that. If you want to put them up,
Yeah.
you can hook them on the walls, and so they're out of the way. They're not lying on the floor, and it keeps it neat, tidy, and they dry better as well. So we don't think about things like that, but I know a lot of families do. They ride and cruise by having things like washing baskets. So they will kind of take one of the, little flip out laundry baskets type of things. So they can stick all their dirty stuff in there as well, just so it's out of the way and it's away. You can also get the laundry bags. Now we do have one of them. They were given to us. So you can use that. We do the suitcase thing, but I know some families like having a bag they can put it in. So it's just there in the corner and they can just pick it up if they need to. There's loads of little things like that, there's loads of tips around of just extra things you can do in a cabin to kind of just make it work for you rather than kind of just working with the standard cabin configuration. My big tip to anybody, if you are looking to sail with a family, especially on the family lines as well, or maybe the more multi-gen lines and the family lines, that these cabins, the ones that do have kind of space for the pack and plays, or the 5-berth ones with the bunk beds or the separate sleeping areas, are generally the ones that are in the hot demand, and they will be the cabins that will sell out first. So just if you are a family of maybe 5, or you are sailing on a ship, like P&O ships where they have a limited number of inside cabins that can accommodate families, definitely you want to book as soon as possible. I know that sounds like a sales pitch, but it's not. It's just offering advice, because I speak to so many families that are just so disappointed because there's no cabins available for them if they're trying to book last minute type of thing, because generally all the 3 berths, the 5-berth, or the 3-berth insides, I should say, for families, or the 5-berth family cabins, they will be the first cabins to go without doubt when the cruise lines go on sale.
No, they do. I mean, I remember having to book them 18 months in advance at least to get the cabins I wanted. And if you want your bed, it might be you want your bed near the window. It might be that you want the pack and play near the window or the door. If you've got a window, you'd want the pack and play that end so that you can curtain that end of the cabin off. So you've got to get that early, because, and I mean, a really great way to find that is to YouTube. Look at a cabin and think, that's the cabin I want, and YouTube that cabin and look for the cabin number, because then you can see the configuration. Because for anyone that's not cruised before, sometimes every cabin is different, so they're alternate. So you've got bed, chair, windows, or then you've got windows or patio doors, bed, chair, so that it's like alternate every cabin. So if you like, I prefer my bed near the patio doors, so I can sit in the morning, have my coffee and look out. So I prefer that, but then I'm not fussed if I don't get it. But some people really like to have a certain configuration, don't they?
Yeah, some people are like, they hate being in their bed by the patio, the cabin, of balcony doors type of things. They have to be further in type of things. They like sitting in the sofa by the window. So some people have preferences, but then as well, like you say, if you've got family, that could be a big deal for you, of just where, like you say, you're going to put the pack and play and where the configuration is going to be. As you say then as well, if you'd want your kids to kind of be in a curtained off area, where's that going to be then? Is it so that you can actually get out of the cabin if you need to? So the kids are by the window and you're the other side of it, so one of you can go off and get drinks and whatever, or the other way around then as well. So you're kind of, the kids are by the wall, the inside bit, so you can then use the balcony even if you needed to. That's a big thing to consider, just the type of family you are and how you think you're going to spend your evenings on board a cruise ship as well. Again, some families, they couldn't care less as long as they've got a bed to sleep in, but just have a think about that. If that matters to you, then definitely study your deck plan and check that.
And as soon as ours got to Toddlers, and as soon as Joe was a climber, so there was no way that I was having a sofa bed near a patio door. I made sure, and that was a time that I really researched it, so that our bed was near the door, so that I was alerted if he tried to make his way out to climbing frame on the, So, I mean, we've had this conversation before. I always went at the aft of the ship so that he couldn't fall off the ship. He'd only fall in the balcony below. Not that I'd have allowed it to get that far, but...
No, but it's that peace of mind of knowing if the worst happened.
And going, look, if you fell down there, that would have really hurt. But it didn't. It never did, thank God. And it's an irrational fear when you're a parent. You look up... I see danger in everything with kids. So I used to worry about them falling off the ship. What if they're going to... But when the decks that the family stuff are, they're all floor-to-ceiling glass, aren't they? So right, there's windows, but I think there's restrictions on that now anyway. You've got your higher decks where it's up to your chest. But
Mhm.
you're not going to hang a car. You're not going to have your kids climbing up there anyway. You're not going to be. They're not going to be on their own up there.
A lot of the toddler areas, like you say, so like these splash pad areas, they will generally be on the Lido deck, and the Lido deck
Yeah,
usually will have floor to ceiling glass type of thing. So if the kids are running around in the open in the tykes area anyway, it will generally be in a part of the ship where there is floor to ceiling glass. They've got to go up a deck of stairs to get to the open air bit that hangs
yeah.
over the edge of the ship. Same with the kids clubs. Kids clubs are generally inside the middle of the ship as well, so there's no chance of them going anywhere near any balconies if they're in the kids clubs or in the nurseries, things like that as well. So generally, a lot of like the younger kid spaces will be, as you say, in the more inside spaces or the spaces where they've got to try to get to kind of open air.
Another thing to really think about is strollers and buggies. And we
I was
have
going to
got a
say,
post
yeah,
that I've not looked at for years. I'll have to dig it out. But we spent, because we have so much time on our hands, weeks researching the cabin door width of all the cabins in all the ships. Well, need to get out more. But it's really useful for parents. I mean, obviously, we ain't got the newer ships on there now because it's a while since we did that article. But you need to think about that, because when you've been out at night and maybe you've got baby sleeping in a pram, buggy, you've got to be able to get it through the door. And it's not the width of the door, it's the width of the door with the door open, which they're usually quite chunky, aren't they?
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
definitely something to check. And generally, like if you look in our Facebook group, somebody will ask a question, and obviously I don't know what a modern pram is anymore or buggy, but there's a mum in there that can say, oh right, yeah, this one works, this fit. Because you need something you can get in through doors with. And I think that's really important when, you might be having your dinner and they're gonna go to sleep.
Because how easy is it to navigate a ship then with a buggy or a pram type of thing? Because I can't recall a time when I've seen, even on Disney, I don't recall seeing many prams, buggies being pushed around. But then I've generally done Disney in the off-peak family period, so maybe that'd be why. But from your experience, is it easy to get kind of on and off at embarkation and then kind of navigating around the ship, getting around the ship? For anybody who's listening who's maybe worried of having to cart a child around in a buggy, is that a problem or is it easy to do?
Super easy. I mean, you've got your lifts, haven't you? Like they say, don't they always give priority to, people that in wheelchairs or are struggling, or you've got your prams and buggies. And I would always take the stairs where I could anyway, just because I'd rather that.
Yeah.
But no, it's super easy. And obviously you've got your deck, so the decks are flat. There's no hills. You've obviously got some places like on Royal Caribbean, you've got some bars at the back of the ship, haven't you, where you've got to get upstairs to get to.
Yeah.
You've either got to leave the buggy, but then a lot of the ships, and look next time you're on, because I bet you've just not noticed, like under the stairs sometimes they'll have a little buggy park area. There's not many because there's not many people on with babies. When you go into the restaurant, they take the buggy off you, put it to one side, they get you a high chair, which there's always an abundance of, and we've never struggled to get a high chair on a ship. So no, I think it's easier. And I mean, the times that I can remember getting off the ship and you've got like when your gangway's a bit bumpy or you've got a bit of slip, the staff are there. They're wheeling it down, they're lifting it up, and they're saying, right, and if it's a bit, they'll go, get baby out. They carry the pram down. So we have never, it just all feels really easy. I mean, we did a 14-night princess when Joe was 2 and a bit, and like we did Monaco, we did Nice, we did all the Mediterranean, and it was easy. And Jack was a hard one. He was 6, 7. He was the one that cried all the way up the hill to Cafe de Paris. He didn't want to be there. It was rubbish.
Yeah.
So I am having a drink at the Cafe de Paris if it kills me. So we just sat and cried the whole way through. But no, it was easy because you get off port, they're looking around, you get ice cream. You don't really go on big long trips because, they're not necessarily up to it. But it's good to get off, have a wander and then get back on the ship, and then it's quiet and they can have a bit of a splash around.
Because then that leads on to kind of my next question, I guess, is just from an entertainment point of view then. So if you have got tykes, little babies, are there any extra activities that the cruise ship may put on? Are there kind of extra events, hosted events, things like that? Can you meet other parents maybe? Do they offer activities like that?
I think Royal, when we were once on Royal, they used to do like a little tyke. Little tykes, I can't remember what it was now. I mean, it's years ago, Lego or whatever. But you went to this area and you could play with toys, and you met other mums like that and dads. But you just get talking to people, don't you? I mean, parents are like, it's like you say when you go somewhere, you meet all the gays and end up in the bar with all the gays. And if me and Donna go, we tend to hunt out, I don't know, bloggers. I don't know, but we always end up travel agents. But you always end up meeting people. Yeah, but you always end up meeting people you've got stuff in common with, don't you? We always end up finding a hairdresser somewhere, me and Donna. So, and I think it's the same with parents. Like, oh, how old is yours? I mean, I was like it in the vets yesterday with Tiki, because people that have got something in common, it's something easier to talk about, isn't it?
I
So,
guess it's an icebreaker, isn't it? Type of thing of like, yeah, or even just asking questions of, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Where did you spot that thing that they're doing? And it could be like you say, where did you
yeah,
get the buggy, or where did you get the life vest for the kids? Type of thing. Small things like that become icebreakers. One thing I will say on Disney, they do something that I've always found a bit weird, and maybe it's because I don't have kids, but they do a diaper dash where they race the babies who are crawling in the atrium. So they lay out like this play mat in the atrium, and for like everyone to watch in the lobby, they do the diaper dash where they race the babies across the lobby. And to me, I just like, that just seems to be weird. So, like,
yeah, but you got to
racing
remember, to a
babies in
new
the atrium.
parent, it's like Milo, right? So Milo is the most important dog in your life. And when you're at the park, you're going, look at Milo. And that's what people are like with their babies in their little diapers. And they're like, look at my baby, isn't it cute? Isn't he got a perfect shaped head? And you do. I remember doing it myself. So then you meet other parents. And I think it's a really nice thing to do. And it's a community thing.
Definitely. And it is, you see as well, the whole ship comes to life because everyone kind of goes, as you say, to the lobby area. And even if you're just passing, getting to and from your area, you can't help but see the excitement, the energy. But I mean, it's just the concept of racing babies. Obviously, they're not gambling on the babies. There's nothing like that.
That's
But just
you need to do that next time. Open a book. Go to the mum's. I've made a sticker, a green sticker, a blue sticker. You'll be banned from Disney now.
I was going to say, I've gone on Disney for very different reasons. It's to start the underground betting on the diaper
You
dash.
could clean up on that.
But that's the only reference I've got is I've just seen on Disney they do activities like that. That's the one that sticks in my brain, but I'm sure from my memory there were other, like, as you say, get-togethers for parents with, toddlers type of thing. I'm pretty sure they had open hour in It's a Small World and things like that. I know they've got the like Nemo Reef it is on the one ship and Dory's Reef on another one as well. So they've got like the splash zones and things like that as well. Again, they do have to be diaper trained to be able to use those spaces still. But it's just great type of thing. There's no deep water. It's all just like fountains and spray things and things like that as well. So really lovely for the kids to kind of cool down. It is probably the strongest area on the ship for chlorine. So it's definitely chlorinated water. So you could smell it when you're near it type of thing. But the kids are having an absolute blast. Like you see so many kids just running around, loving life, touching all the fountains and playing with them all type of thing. It's just great that they have those areas to let off their steam as well if they wanted to.
That's actually a really good tip now you said that about touching everything, because wet wipes, take them with you, have them with you everywhere to wipe their hands, because kids touch everything. Another thing is, and I'm not a jacuzzi fan anyway, and if you put your child in a jacuzzi, then no judgment here, but I just think they're too hot for children, personally. I don't think they're good for them. But just something to really watch out for, because Joe was obsessed when he was little going the jacuzzi, and I was like, I'm not taking him in because I don't want to be that hot. And then Chris once took him in, and he just literally come out in a rash. I've never seen anything like it. And he was allergic because there's so many chemicals in. So we had to get, you won't even be aware, it's called metanium, but it's basically bright yellow cream, bright yellow. And he was just, his face was yellow the whole holiday because that was the only thing he could put on him. So you've got to be careful with the jacuzzis, I think, because the chemicals in with little ones with their skin.
Well, that's the thing. And I'm no expert on the topic. I get asked and I don't know the answer. And not all cruise lines do declare it. But it's as well, just keep in mind that pools on cruise ships can sometimes be salinated water. So they can use purified seawater. But then other cruise ships as well will have fresh water. Generally, what you'll find is if a cruise ship has fresh water, they will shout about it because it is a selling feature. Whereas if they don't mention what type of water it is in their splash zones and their water parks and pools, chances are, and there's nothing wrong with the seawater being cleansed and everything, but it's just if you have got skin allergies, that's another thing to be aware of as well, especially with babies as well, just to make sure what type of water it is in the.
Get in your mouth. I've done that in a mouthful of water. I was swimming. It's horrible.
It's not nice, is it? I was on another cruise recently and they had it in the hot tubs, and I was like, oh yeah, I smell of I forgot what the word for it is, but I call it salinated water, but it's like seawater that's been purified and everything. But you can it has a very different smell to it.
Fish and chips.
And the whole day, the whole day I was like, I smell fresh. No matter how much you showered, it just permeates into your
Yeah.
pores, doesn't it? But it's just that's something that I've known. I don't have particular. I do. I guess some skin issues, but I know some people have had bigger issues, and it's again a decision-making choice with which cruise line they'll go on of what type of water they have in the pools.
Right. And do they actually publish that information?
Generally, like I say, if they've got freshwater pools, they will use it as a settling feature and say.
All right.
If they don't mention, I would say 9 times out of 10, if they don't say freshwater pools, chances are it will be the reconstituted water, whatever.
Right.
There's a word, technical marine term for it, which I'm probably going to get shouted at for not using. But there is, if they don't say freshwater pools, I would say 99% chance they're going to be using the recycled water. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly fine and safe. It's more a case of a preference. If you've got sensitive skin allergies, just be aware of it.
Yeah. I mean, definitely Joe with the jacuzzis when he was little, it was awful. I stopped letting him go in and everybody thought I was cruel, but it ended up with just hives. And so I think you've got to be careful, whether that's the heat as well, because their little bodies can't regulate the heat the same. I don't know, but definitely something to think about. But I think my overlying tip would be the thing is, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you've got to book in advance. So, I mean, I think I booked that first cruise when I was pregnant, maybe. I don't know. So you don't know what your baby's going to be like. If you're booking last minute, they're not going to be any different away than they are at home. Like, as I say, and you read the comments in the group, some people say it's easier being away. And if you haven't got a routine, which we were very much, we are the routine and that's how we're going to live. And a lot of my friends be like, oh, no, my baby goes on bed at 6 o'clock and she stays till 10 in the morning. Or no, probably 7 in the morning. 7 in the morning. And that's our life. But then when they went away, their life was a living hell because the baby can't acclimatise. So you've got to do what's best for your family. But then it might be the smaller ships for you.
I think that's the other concern as well. Is like, you just don't put pressure on yourself as well to have this perfect dream vacation type thing or dream holiday. You have to kind of, as you say, adapt to what your family pattern and rhythm is. And that can change on a cruise ship as well. So, don't force the ship to happen type of thing. Just do what you enjoy. And sometimes that could mean doing things you may not initially want to do, but you may actually still end up enjoying yourself because that's just what you have to do to adapt for your family to adapt to the ship.
Well, it's all about managing expectations, isn't it? I mean, our last cruise, obviously the boys were 17 and 21, but we barely came off our balcony. We had a massive balcony and the 4 of us were just there every day. Like, we'd go out and have a lunch, have a glass of wine, come back, get some sparkling water. We'd all be on the balcony sunbathing because it was peaceful and that's where we liked it. And so if we'd have really wanted to sit around the pool, then I think we'd have been disappointed because it was busy. But do you know what? Now, when I'm booking a cruise, I'm thinking, right, I'm up for balcony time. I really like it. So it's about finding that right thing for you.
Absolutely. And I think that's why we love cruise so much as well. There are so many different cruise lines, whether it's, the smaller ship experiences right up to the mega ships like, Wonder and Icon of the Seas type of thing. There's a ship for everyone. So it's just so important to just check that, I guess, and just make sure you're going on the right type of ship for what you want. If you don't want to be walking with a buggy for hours and hours, walking around a ship, going from deck to deck to floor to stern, stern to bow, then think of the smaller ship experiences, the slightly older ships where you are going to have maybe some of the older mod cons, rather some of the older cons, I guess, facilities and things like that, rather than state-of-the-art. I know, I was like some of the older cons. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. It make no sense. I know what I'm trying to say. You kind of go on the older ships maybe that don't have some of the more modern conveniences that kind of new builds will have, but you're going to have kind of all those smaller ship experiences. Going to be more intimate. It's going to be built up for kind of the more traditional style of cruising, rather than the newer ships where they're fantastic because they have so many facilities and spaces, but they are bigger now as well. Ships are bigger than ever. They're busier than ever. So you are going to be contesting with other people for those spaces. So it's just have a think about the type of experience you want and don't necessarily fall for the trappings of newer ships are going to be better. They're not necessarily better for you personally just because they're newer and more excited. Some of the older, smaller ships can equally offer you fantastic holidays. You're also going to go to slightly more interesting places as well, where you're going to have a little bit more intimate time in port because you're not getting off the ship with thousands of other people.
But you've also got to look, I suppose, you have to look for the pole, whether the splash pole. Another tip is to take a baby carrier because not everybody wants to be caught in a pram round, or it might be that you want to go to that bar up there with baby and you can strap them in and have a baby carrier, and that always... I've actually seen quite a lot of people on ships with baby carriers. So that works as well. But I mean, another thing is like when we were on Odyssey last time, the kids literally, they disappeared at a certain time. So maybe they were in the club. Yeah. Maybe someone had gone to bed. But I remember one night and I was going up to bed. I must have gone for a coffee and everybody else had gone up. And I got in the lift with a woman and she had this little girl. She was beautiful. And I went, oh, look at you. You're just like a little princess. And this kid looked at me, burst out crying, and had her head on her mum. And I went to mum, oh, I'm so sorry. What did I say? She went, she likes to be called, she's a kitty cat. Princess. Oh, every time I saw that little girl, she was giving me daggers. Like, how dare I call her the kitty cat? I mean, the mum was lovely, like sort of like half winking. But so that was my epic fail last cruise with a child. Yeah, I think it's an amazing thing to do with your children, but you know your children.
Yeah, definitely. This is such a loaded question, I guess. But if you were to suggest your top 1 or 2 or 3 cruise lines then for traveling with babies, who would you say? And obviously we know the ones that we think do it better, but who would you say would be your, if you had to say to somebody, I guess, shortcutting, if we want to shortcut to people of like, if you want an easier time to work out who are going to be slightly easier to do with a baby, who would you recommend?
Royal Caribbean. Because they've got everything. They have got everything coming there. NCL, I checked, but they've got nurseries. But then our experience on Princess, now, according to my research, there is a Princess ship that has a splash zone, but I think we need to double check that. But if you did have a ship with a splash zone, they were fabulous. They were fabulous with the kids.
Well, it's also looking as well, though, about Sun and Star Princess as well, because they're being built purposely with younger families in mind as well. So keep in mind as well that even though brands, this is why I say it's such a loaded question, because every single ship's different as well. So you could go on a Royal ship, an older one, that doesn't have as many splash pads and kids areas as well. So it's not a black and white, you can go every Royal ship. That's why I was like, it's a loaded question. But I would agree with you as well. I think Royal is an easy choice to say they're bound to have someone in their fleet that will cater well to babies. Disney, 100% are built purposely for the family as well. I've not experienced it with NCL, and I had conversations with my customers about NCL. But again, I have seen their ships and I've seen they do have splash pads and splash areas as well. So they would be another strong choice as well.
And their crush is gorgeous.
Yeah.
The crush is stunning. I mean, MSC do, but I can't vouch for MSC because I've never been on one. So I can't say whether it's good or not. Donna loves it. Donna thinks it's great for kids. So, but do you know what advice I would give? If you've only got a baby and a toddler and they're not at school age, don't go in school time. Go when it's cheaper and go out of that time when there's less people, less 100%,
kids. Yes.
Because you've got years of going in term time. So while you can,
strap yourself in, like,
that's it. Go when it's cheap. And that'd be my advice, that go when there's less on.
And it's a massive difference. Sometimes it can be 50% cheaper. Like, it's a big difference. We're not talking like, 10, 20%. We're talking massive reductions if you go in the off-peak season. Obviously, for us in the UK, that's avoiding the school summer holidays, the Easter break, the October break as well. They're going to be the high demand for families type of thing. And those kids' spaces are going to get hit hard type of thing with the number of families on. Like when we had Leon on the podcast, for example, Celebrity, a brand that aren't maybe wide known for being multi-generation, he said they fly on extra childcare and activity coordinators for those summer holidays just because of how popular the summer holidays are for families. So as you say, perfect, great tip. If you don't need to go during the summer holidays, don't. Simple as.
Save a fortune. Do 2 cruises instead.
Yeah.
But you know what? I have been known to take them out for 3 days before the end of term, because I just think the educational value for children of travelling. I mean, like Jack went to a Catholic school, so we took him to the Vatican. I wrote into school, said we're going to the Vatican. They were like, go, off you pop.
Free pass, go.
Yeah. We're going to see the Pope. We're going to see the Pope. And we went, we did go. There's always rules, aren't there? And there's always charges and always. But I just think, and this is my biggest bugbear, and teachers are amazing. They are just the best. And I've been a teacher and it's a really hard job. But schools wind down the last week of term. So for me, they're learning, they're watching Disney films when they could be,
They could be watching them on Disney, on the funnel, sailing in the Med or the Caribbean.
Yeah, going to museums and going to the Vatican and learning about art and going to the Louvre in Paris if they're on a river cruise. There's always things they can be doing. So it's not black and white, is it? I think travel is the best education.
All right, guys. So I know that's a very top level, again, conversation about cruising with babies. There are obviously a lot of things you do have to consider. Two tips I'm going to give you. The first one is, obviously Sarah does have a Facebook group as well. So if you are a parent looking to travel with kids, then definitely hunt us down on Facebook. There is our group. We'll link it in the description below because it's quite a mouthy title. But what is the title of it, Sarah?
If you go to cruisingwithkids.com, there's a little box in the sidebar. And we click on that, it takes you there. But it's Cruising with Kids, Family Cruise Advice and Support. And it's a supportive, non-judgmental group. And the
Totally.
first judgment that someone puts in, they're gone, because us parents don't need to feel guilty about anything. We just need to ask questions. No questions stupid. And everybody's lovely. So, there's no drama. There's no agenda. We don't post loads of links in there. There's none of that. It's just chat babies and ask questions.
And it's very international as well. So it's not geared completely all American cruisers and completely all British cruisers. It's a very nice mix as well of different nationalities going in there as well. So there's plenty of tips for, American-centric cruising that, Americans would need to worry about, but equally as well for British sailors as well. If they're looking to get tips for sailing from the UK, there's loads of both camps of the world type of thing. So don't feel like it's a British group. It's not. It's very international as well. The other one as well is I know you guys have tons of information on your website as well. Obviously, you built your website off the back of family travel as well. So
yes,
where's the best place the guys can find all that content?
So you can find us with cruisingwithkids.com, and we've got a really amazing search feature. So anything you search in the bar, just put it in and it brings you a multitude of choice of all different things. And we've also got drinks packages as well for the mums and dads.
Safe for their recovery time. And then equally as well, obviously, if you are looking for help and assistance in navigating this world, because I know there's a lot to consider. Even though I don't travel with kids, I obviously know the contacts to get the answers to any questions you may have as well. So usually it's Sarah. If Sarah can answer as well, I can obviously go direct to the cruise lines as well. So if you want that extra hand-holding with booking your family cruise, just booking the right cabins, getting interconnected, all those pitfalls you need to think about, I would love to help you as well if you are sailing from the UK. But you can find me anywhere online under magical-traveler.com, or you can find me on all social media under magical_TRVLR as well. Other than that, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please definitely do leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts. Just helps those platforms know that you're enjoying it and sharing it to others and recommending it as well. If you're watching it on YouTube, please give us a subscribe, leave a comment, let us know you've enjoyed. Other than that, we will see you on the next episode.
Bye.